Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about Tropical Depression 5, which is formed in the Atlantic and could become Tropical Storm Elsa, which this storm could have impacts on multiple different countries, including the US, so stick around. And if you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. Now let's get right on into it. So, Tropical Depression 5 currently has maximum sustained winds of 35 miles an hour, minimum central pressure of 1,008 millibars, and moving west at 23 miles an hour. So, we're going to start off here with our warnings and cone. Currently, we do have tropical storm watches and warnings in the Lesser Antilles for this storm, as that will be right around the Friday time period in terms of timing. This storm should be a tropical storm by that point, and it will be running right through and continuing on as well. Eventually, by the time we get into Saturday and Sunday over the weekend, it is impacting the Greater Antilles, including Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, maybe even the Bahamas and Puerto Rico could be seeing some of the effects. Then we get into early next week. Yeah, Florida is in the cone for this. Now, of course, it is 5 days away, but this is something that we do have to take into account at this point. So, let's look at our arrival time of winds with wind speed probabilities. Now, of course, the chances of tropical storm force winds are most likely in the near future, which is this area here is 40% chance. I would say that is higher than 40% chance, but that is including the impact on the Lesser Antilles. You can see Barbados over there, and then a couple other islands. They kind of put this line in like the weirdest spot because it's covering all the islands, but this is pretty imminent at this point. It's Thursday today, so we're looking at this by tomorrow. So a quick moving storm that will be having impacts on multiple places. So we're going to take a look at the satellite imagery, which shows a pretty good storm here. And we have plenty of convection. We have a center of rotation. I would not be surprised that within the first couple hours of me putting out this video, this is forming into a tropical storm. So let's take a look at the current storm information. Starting off here with the global hurricane models. Most of them have it taking the same exact track. So we do get a little bit of consistency here from the models until right around this point. Of course, this is through 3 days. That's when things get a little wonky. That's why the cone is much wider there, because forecasting 5 days out is not that easy. So we do have a couple of these models taking it through Florida and up the East Coast. We have a few that take it to the west of Florida and start aiming it toward the Gulf Coast, and we have a couple taking it east of Florida and then eventually back. So, kind of weird, but we do have to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. It is 5 days away. The GFS does take this through Florida, straight up the middle, and then eventually coming back out into the Atlantic, right up the coastline of the US. The GEPS ensemble takes it straight up Florida, right down the middle. Then it doesn't come back into the Atlantic, but it stays over land throughout the entire East Coast. So once we get past the next 3 days, we do have to really start looking at this storm as a potential major threat, not in terms of wind speeds, but just overall flooding, damage, overall winds, because we did see what Isaias did last year, especially when it got to the northeast. We could be seeing round 2 of that, so not cool. So European models kind of, not really loaded in, but it does have that general track. Now, here is our hurricane model. Let's start off here with the radar, and we're going to go all the way back here. Right now, kind of disorganized, but this does take shape pretty quickly here. Starting to get a firm, tight rotation here, and those millibars start to drop pretty quickly. Barbados right here, I would not be surprised if this is a strong tropical storm at this point. 984 millibars. You got some pretty intense outer bands, a firm eye wall here, and you start to see this move toward the Greater Antilles. Smaller storm, but look at that, 975 millibars. That's most likely a hurricane at that point, and still dropping. The lowest this gets is right around, yeah, right in here. So I believe 954. That is low. And if we look at our wind speeds here, so we do have some here in that 34-mile-an-hour range. Now that is tropical storm force, but you start to move over here, we get into the 50s, and we start to see a little bit of those 60s. So 64 is Category 1 strength. So we're starting to see a little bit of that there. Now it just booms. We get a lot more of that. And we could be even seeing closer to that 80 number. And 83 is Category 2. We definitely get there. We are getting into the 100s, which 96 knots. This is all in knots. But 96 knots is Category 3. And this is not even close to being at full strength. Right over here, we could easily be at a Category 4, maybe even 5. So here is that max wind speed, 137.3 knots. Now, the benchmark for a Category 5 hurricane is 137 knots. So it is cutting it close. But the HWRF model shows this becoming a Category 5 major hurricane. Now, this is just one model. I do not expect that this is going to really be Category 5. Now, tropical storm is definite. This is the intensity guidance. Tropical storm is a definite at this point. 100% chance according to all these models. Then you look at Category 1, Category 2. That's pretty realistic right now. That is the logical answer to how strong this will be. But, again, if you're going bullish, this totally has the time through the rest of the Atlantic into the Caribbean Sea. Then it starts to take that turn. So it has plenty of time over the water. The Lesser Antilles really don't take much off of storms in terms of wind speed as normal landfalls do, because they are islands. But you go straight up into Cuba, that might take off a little bit of wind speed. Then it's going right up the east coast or into the Gulf. The Gulf's probably an even worse case scenario. So we have to wait and see. I fully expect to be making another update video to this video once we get a little bit more information 5 days out. But stay tuned, subscribe, click the bell for all the information on the storm. But that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.